Anyone that has ever been blessed with a good, creative idea also knows the amount of struggle and self-doubt that comes up when trying to actually bring that idea to life. Expectation versus reality. We know the feeling all too well. And you may also know the feeling of being very creatively blocked, but knowing that if you want to actually get somewhere with your work, you have to stay consistent. Which is kind of an oxymoron because creativity cannot be forced or just simply turned on like a switch. And I'm sure you also know the struggle of putting a bunch of time and effort into an idea only to never finish it because you lose hope in it. But believe it or not, these are common struggles of every artist, regardless of their perceived success. When you look at an artist's work, you only see the final product. You never see the blood, sweat, and tears, and even doubt that were equally a part of the process. But this is not just another motivational video for artists. I actually have 2 tangible pieces of advice that I'm going to share with you today. These 2 pieces of advice are from the creative mastermind, Rick Rubin himself. Now, if you don't know who Rick Rubin is, he has produced hundreds of hits across a wide array of genres, like artists from the Red Hot Chili Peppers and Aerosmith to Jay-Z, Kanye West, and just many iconic artists. I've read books about creativity before, but I will say that this was genuinely a fresh perspective for me when I really needed one.
How do you clear the static?
I would say when I engage in a particular project, whatever it is, I dedicate all of myself for that period of time, whatever it is, whether it be 20 minutes or whether it be 5 hours, whatever it is, and no outside distraction whatsoever. And when I leave that process, I do my best not to think about it when I'm away from it. I stay as far away from it when I'm not directly engaging in it as possible.
Although this might be knowledge that seems obvious, we often don't actually dedicate all of ourselves to whatever we're working on. We often have 10 other tabs open. We're often thinking about the next project or switching back and forth between different projects. And then we often overthink and overanalyze our projects to the point of literal mental exhaustion. And it seems like the biggest block for creatives is the overthinking and overanalyzation of their work, because this is the opposite of being in flow state, that magical place where ideas come easily. So it would only make sense that if we could find ways to reduce this overthinking, that ideas would flow more freely, and that we could create beautiful work from a place of actually being in the moment and not thinking so hard about things. By leaving our projects behind us after a session and disengaging with it, we allow our frame of thinking around it to reset. So when we come back to it, we have a fresh state of mind. And when we come back to working on the project, by eliminating all of those outside distractions, we allow ourselves to actually dedicate ourselves to that project and see it fully through. Discipline, unfortunately, doesn't come natural to artists because creativity comes and goes in waves. But we also all know that it's the disciplined artists that actually get somewhere with their work. The truth is that distraction and inconsistency will leave many works with amazing potential left unfinished, and the world will never get to see them. I believe this also allows for what I call subconscious solving, because our mind is powerful. When we set forth an intention, our subconscious embarks on a mission to fulfill that intention, whether it be to find a solution to a problem, or maybe the fruition of a new idea, or a decision that needs to be made. Our subconscious is always still processing this in the background, even when we're not thinking about it at all. So when we disengage from a project that we are still working on, our subconscious is still creating it, because our subconscious is magical, and the way that the human mind works is incredible. And that's why you often think of answers in the most random of times, because you are completely disengaged from them. You're not overthinking them. I know you've been there. You create something that you're proud of, yet the moment that you see someone else's version of that thing, the self-doubt immediately starts. You start to question if it's even worth trying because you feel like it'll never be as good as others out there. That's often how I feel when I create these videos. So you put the project away and you forget about it. Something with so much potential, just collecting dust because the artist unfortunately lost their confidence. I've been there many, many times. But maybe if we just made a little more of an effort to disengage with it on a regular basis, maybe we wouldn't spend so much time comparing it to other people's projects. Maybe we could just enjoy the manifestation of our ideas. Maybe it would evolve into something entirely unique from everyone else's with just a little more time and effort and patience. Maybe you were comparing your first draft to someone else's final draft, so you never got to see what could have been your final draft.
You said there's a sort of a rule of like when you start a song, try to finish it that day.
In the early days, I would have thought of that as more of a work ethic point of if you start something, finish it. But over time, I've come to realize that when you're in a particular groove of energy, when there's either you're getting an information download or whether you're playing something in a particular way, if you come back later to try to recreate that, it's not so easy. And it may actually be impossible.
When we have a new idea, there's a lot of energy in that. There's a lot of creative energy in that. If you're watching this video, I'm sure you know what that feels like. Sometimes it really helps to just roll with it. You will never be in this exact moment in time again. The sky may never be that exact same color again. You may not ever feel this exact way again. You may not ever think this exact same way again. And each moment truly holds valuable information. And you may not ever be able to access that exact same feeling again or channel energy from the same idea again. When you are tuned in, it is a gift. It's a wonderful feeling, and every artist knows how amazing that feeling is. But every artist also knows how it feels to not get that feeling for a very long time, to feel really blocked. And so that's why when we're in the moment, when we're in flow state, when we're in the receiving mode, we want to take advantage of that feeling and just try to get a first draft in. And that is what makes the creative process so beautiful, because we often can't even explain how an idea or a feeling came to us. Like, it just showed up in our minds and we just rolled with it. And when you run with it, you create momentum. And when you already have momentum, it's so much easier to keep going. I think that's the other biggest block for creatives is perfectionism. Often the reason why people don't finish that first draft is because they're trying to perfect it from the beginning. Try to start practicing just getting those ideas down in the moment, fully knowing that they could change and evolve entirely. Because the tweaking and the perfecting of it, all of that can happen later. And of course, because of the nature of creativity, not a single thing is gonna work for every single person. But I do think this advice is really powerful for almost every creative out there. So if you try to incorporate this way of thinking and being into your creative process, please let me know if it helps you in any way. And if you liked this video, I highly, highly recommend Rick Rubin's book. It's called The Creative Act, A Way of Being. I am someone who has read a lot of self-help books. I have read other books on creativity, and a lot of it does get repetitive, but I will say that this book is actually very inspirational for anyone who is seeking more creativity in their life or just needs creative validation even. I have highlighted on literally almost every single page because there are so many things in this book that resonate with me. I can almost guarantee you will find at least one nugget of wisdom, especially if you are creatively blocked right now. And most importantly, please remember that your creations matter. They do, because we as humans are meant to create. Look around you. Every single thing in your environment was something that was a product of someone else's idea. To hold those ideas inside of you out of fear or insecurity or shame or self-doubt is not only a big disservice to yourself, but also to the world. Because you just never know when your piece of art will be the one piece that actually moves someone deeply, or that makes a misunderstood person feel understood, or that inspires someone else to create their own art or even share their own art.